and visitors and others, they were to focus on a paper prepared by America. Have you ever heard of such an aggression? A state that is working in a consistent manner for negotiations, a state that is party to the negotiations and yet aggresses the venue where the negotiations take place. If Israel wishes to assassinate the Hamas leaders, why then engage into negotiations? If you wish to insist on the liberation of hostages, why then do they assassinate all negotiators? How can we host in our country negotiating delegations from Israel, whereas they sent drones and planes for an air raid against our country? There is no need for questions. This is just a cowardly aggression. And there is no room to deal with such a party that is cowardly and treacherous. It's difficult and impossible to deal and negotiate with such a party and we need to expect anything from such a party. And the second reality that comes to the surface is that those who work consistently to assassinate the party that is in negotiation will certainly do.
A ceasefire is the price to get the detainees. They don't want it. What they actually want is to make Gaza not, to displace the people there. He believes in the full Israeli land or the greater Israel, and he is taking advantage of the war to expand and change what's happening or the current situation in Jerusalem and in the West Bank, and they have preparations to take over the land. Israel's government thinks that they have control over the Arab countries, and then they do more operations, and so they forget the old things that they have done and start acting on the new ones. And actually the Israeli president that takes pride in changing the Middle East in the last 2 years, he actually means that Israel's intervention in any country, whenever and wherever, he takes pride in that, and he dreams of taking over the whole Arab countries, and this is very delusional and a dangerous level of delusion. And so they want to have these strikes normalized, like in Lebanon. They keep striking Lebanon and killing people there, and Israel wants to start a civil war to take control. And as for Syria, the president there has said clearly that they will not negotiate on the areas under Israel's control, and we believe that these plans will not go unnoticed. Israel says or claims that everyone is conspiring against it, but when in reality it is the one who keeps striking and has genocides and crosses all the red lines. And the president said a few days ago that he will not have a Palestinian country and that there will be no such country. He is going against all the rules and the laws that this country was founded on. Two neighboring countries had a truce agreement with Israel, and they kept their end of the deal. And now we are looking for a mediation, even though they stuck to the agreement. And if Israel has listened to the truce and complied with it, this wouldn't have happened. But they want to take control of the whole region, and everyone who supports this or recognizes this is just not acceptable. They are anti-Semites or and yeah, like the extremists in Israel do at the same time. And so each of these three realities that we don't need just an urgent summit, but we need to take actual steps to start facing this and to stop the blood shedding that Israel just wants to keep going by. Yeah, they still want to take over the whole Palestine and kill people displaced. They also keep intervening with the Arab countries' government and also striking my country, which has done nothing but mediated to reach peaceful outcomes. And so from our side, we will do everything we can, and the international law allows us this to keep our sovereignty and to counter-attack these Israeli strikes. I welcome you again, and I hope that this summit will be successful to take actual effective steps. Thank you. And now, Said Hussein Taha will take the floor. Peace and blessings be upon you, and peace be upon Prophet Muhammad.
Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. J'ai l'honneur de tout d'abord procéder à votre Altesse.
العام لجامعة الدول العربية أصحاب المعالي والسعادة، أتشرف في البداية بأن أتقدم إليكم حضرة صاحب السمو الشيخ محمد الثاني أمير دولة قطر بجزيل الشكر على هذه الدعوة الكريمة.
I thank you for this generous invitation to take this to hold this urgent summit and to continue with our steps. And this is we here will reaffirm all the condemnations on what happened on Qatar, and also we urge all the Arab countries to take a strong stance to stop Israel's actions. This summit is a continuation of Qatar's efforts to stop, to reach a ceasefire and for Israel to withdraw. And we reaffirm our condemnation that happened for the strikes that happened on Qatar that messes with its stability. And this violates the international law. And we reiterate they reiterate their full support with Qatar and all the measures they take to keep the stability and sovereignty of Qatar. And we call upon the United Nations again to to ask Israel to be responsible for all the things that they did, for all their continuous strikes. This Israeli strike on Qatar is a continuation of their atrocities against Palestine and all the Palestinian lands. And we reiterate here the importance of following the rules to reach a ceasefire and providing humanitarian aid sustainably to all parts of the Gaza Strip, and Israel withdrawing from the land and allowing Palestine to have a sovereign country and to take control over the Gaza Strip. And we reaffirm here our support for the outcomes of the international meeting to settle this case, and our support to reach a two-state solution in a way that lets the Palestinian people to have the rights, which is also the right for self-determination, and to have sovereignty and full control over all their land, according to what happened in 1967 with its city, main city, as with its capital as Jerusalem. And here we want some outcomes out of this summit to reiterate our support and Qatar's support. And thank you. And now I leave the floor to Ali. Your Excellency Tamim Mohammed bin Khalifa II, the Prince of Qatar, late gentlemen here, and Your Excellencies the Presidents, ladies and gentlemen. The Israeli atrocities have gone too far, and they, especially with the strike on Qatar, and they breached any laws, international or national, and even the basic human laws, which is not striking the mediators or targeting the negotiators. And what is more dangerous is justifying these actions with any justification. It is all not justifiable, and these are just atrocities, and they are breaching the international law, and letting them go without any consequences isn't acceptable. Allow me to mention some brief points. First, attacking the mediators and negotiators isn't noble, and it isn't brave. It is actually cowardness, and taking pride in it actually shows how disrespectful this country is. That is unprecedented in the relationships between the countries. Second of all, this summit isn't here to support Qatar, which is which every Muslim and Arab has to do to see what happened, this cowardly action. But this summit also holds a message to the international community, a message that says enough with the silence and not holding this country accountable that has fires and displaced, killed and starved people without any consequences, and they are doing this for their own benefits and for their own sick beliefs. They want to take us back to the law of jungle, and staying silent is actually a crime in itself, and silence with the breaching the law, it messes with the whole the silence with what's happening in Gaza for 2 whole years has led the leaders in Israel that they can do whatever they want and that they can get away with anything, and so they kept on destroying a country after country and trying to take over the land, as if the world has went back to the dark ages when we thought that we have left them a long time ago. The one in control of the occupation country is asked for the international community, and today he added a new crime to his portfolio, and we call for all the allies for the laws to stand together to start holding Israel accountable with the breach of the sovereignty of countries and the atrocities under under vain justifications that aren't in any international law. Allow me, President, allow me to send a message to the Israeli people. What your government is doing under your name will not be forgotten, and the crimes will not be forgotten. Killing 63,000 and starving the Palestinian people and displacing them will not be forgotten. And this is the last strike on a country that has tried to mediate to reach a ceasefire and to save people from being killed. Even the Israeli detainees, this strike will also not be forgotten. So what the Israeli government does under your name destroys any way to coexist peacefully in the future, and puts the next generation in a very dark future led by violence. Thank you, Mr. President. Here you can see the plan that we will move forward with. Since there are no notes, it will be taken into action. And now I leave the floor to the President of Delegates. We will start with the Sudanese Mohammed Shah, the Prime Minister of Iraq and the Arab League. Thank you. Prince of Qatar, Your Excellency, all Your Excellencies here, Your Honors, ladies and gentlemen, peace and mercy be upon you. I stand here today to show the stance of Iraq, and we reiterate the responsibility that we hold to attack what happened in the region and with what happened in Doha. That targeted a meeting that was aiming to reach a ceasefire in Gaza and save the civilians. This strike is a violation of the international law, and for lots it breaches lots of laws and sovereignty of Qatar. And in the light of what Qatar does of supporting and mediating to reach a ceasefire, the strike sends a message that cancels all the peaceful outcomes. And with escaping a punishment, the Israeli country keeps on breaching the international laws, which destroy stability and safety, and this is dangerous to the region, to the countries in the region as well. And they have also talked publicly about changing the borders. They keep breaching the international law. They never comply, and they destroy the actual laws. And going on with this policy without any consequences or punishment will only lead to further instability, and it will stir up more violation, especially with the starvation and the genocide. What's happening in Gaza and the West Bank of strikes, forced displacement, destroying the infrastructure is not just a breach of international laws and humanitarian laws, but it has exceeded all that. They have created a suffering for the people here that is unprecedented, and it is a threat to the safety of the region. And so we reiterate that the stability of any Arab or Islamic country is very important to all the other countries, and it is crucial. And the larger countries that we have here, they need to take a stance and to start taking an action and taking a strong stance to reach stability in this part of the world. Your Excellencies, the leaders, the current situation, we need here to start taking an action and to holding them accountable. First of all, we need to have a unified stance, Arab and Islamic stance, and we need to put steps that can hold Israel accountable and to have them in court. Second of all, dealing with any strikes to the Arab or the Islamic countries as describing it as a threat to the safety, which needs then some diplomatic and political actions to ensure these strikes don't happen again. Third is having some kind of alliance that has all the Arab countries, so that we can face the strikes that our people are facing. And then fourth is having a committee that goes to the UN and the European Union as well to start defending our people. And fifth, having a plan with a timeline to reach a ceasefire in Gaza, with also a plan to reconstruct Gaza with the help of all the Arab countries, and reaching some agreements that guarantee the people their rights. And then sixth, enhancing the connections between the countries to be always ready to face any strikes that may happen on our countries. Your Excellencies, Iraq reiterates its condemn of the strikes that target the stability and the safety of the countries for the people too, and they reiterate their full support to Qatar and the Palestinians and all the people that have been all the countries that have been striked, either Iran, Syria, Yemen or Lebanon. And we call for this summit to be to reach a successful outcome, to ensure the safety and to take the necessary actions to stop these strikes. We have a real chance to send a clear message about us holding on to the stability and the safety, and that these things aren't negotiable. And it is also a chance to show the Israeli president that he will be held accountable and his actions will have consequences. And thank you. And now the floor is to the King of Abdullah II, the King of Jordan. Peace and mercy be upon you and upon the Prophet Muhammad. Your Excellency Tamim bin Hamad II, Your Excellencies, everyone here, peace and mercy be upon you. My condolences to you, my brother Tamim, and the people of Qatar, for the people that were killed as a result of the Israeli strikes. We condemn this strike, and it is a huge breach of the international law, and it is a further escalation that worsens things. And we stand with you and support you and support any steps to face these strikes and to protect your safety, your stability, and the rights of your people. Your safety is ours, and you have our full unconditional support. The leaders, Your Excellencies, the Israeli strike on Doha came after around 2 years of the start of its war on Gaza. 2 years of killing, destroying, and starving Israel has breached the laws, the international law and the humanitarian law throughout those 2 years. And it has taken it too far when it comes to the West Bank. They have done atrocities here, and this stands as an obstacle between in the face of a two-state solution, and it keeps on threatening the stability and the safety of Lebanon and Syria. And now it is breaching Qatar's sovereignty and safety. They are taking it even further, and this is because the international community allowed it to be to do this actually. And so here in the Arab and the Islamic countries, we need to start weighing all our options to face the danger of this extremist Israeli country. And we have the summit has to come out with practical and actual plans to reach a ceasefire in Gaza, to stop the displacement and to protect Jerusalem and the places around it, and to protect our safety that is mutual, and to protect our future. The strike on Qatar is an evidence that the Israeli threat has no limits. Our answer and our actions have to be threatening and have to be strong. And thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency. Now the floor goes to Abdel Fattah Sisi, the President of Egypt.
Now I give the floor to His Excellency. Mercy, the Governor of Mercy, my brother, His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, Emir of the State of Qatar. Your Majesties and Excellencies, Kings and Heads of State and the Government of the Arab and Islamic countries. Your Excellency, Mr. Ahmed Abul Ghaid, Secretary General of the League of Arab States. Your Excellency, Mr. Hussein Ibrahim Taha, the OIC Secretary General. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. At the outset, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks and appreciation to my brother, His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, and the State of Qatar for hosting this important summit, which is held at a very critical time and in light of grave challenges faced by the entire region, which Israel is trying to turn it into an area open for attacks that would undermine the peace and security in the entire region and would be a violation of international peace and security, as well as the established rules of international regime. I would like also to convey to the leadership and people of Qatar the solidarity of the Arab Republic of Egypt with its brothers against the Israeli attack, which is wanton and cowardly, which affected the space and land of Qatar, and which represents a flagrant violation of international law and the UN Charter, and is an precedent that would undermine Arab and Islamic peace and security. And let me assert here clearly that this aggression represents clearly that the Israeli practices have gone beyond any logic and has gone beyond any red lines. And we express our strongest condemnation of this Israeli aggression against the sovereignty and security of an Arab country that undertakes a pivotal role in the efforts of mediation along with Egypt and USA in order to reach a ceasefire in Gaza and to put an end to war and suffering which are unprecedented by the Palestinian people. I would like also to warn that what we are seeing of wanton and unbridled Israeli action would undermine the regional security and would expand the cycle of violence, and we cannot stand still and accept that. Your Majesties and Excellencies, while Egypt is calling the international community to uphold its ethical and logical responsibility in order to avoid any recurrence of these aggressions and to put an end to the wanton Israeli war crimes, including holding Israeli those responsible from Israel accountable, which have been enjoying impunity for years. It has been clear that the aggressive approach by Israel has an established intention to make any efforts a failure and not to reach any ceasefire or release of the prisoners and the hostages. This approach also implies the lack of any political will by Israel in order to have sincere efforts to achieve peace in the region. This unbridled action and arrogance by Israel require us as leaders of the Arab and Islamic worlds to work together in order to establish principles and rules that express our common interests and principles. And I believe that the adoption by the recent Council of the Arab League, the resolution titled "The Common Vision of Cooperation and Security in the Region" may be a necklace on which we can build in order to reach Arab and Islamic unanimity in order to have our own vision of regional peace and security and to set the implementing mechanisms to address the critical situation we are facing in order to bridle any hegemony by any stakeholder and put an end to any unilateral action that would undermine the sovereignty of the Arab-Islamic Ummah. Your Majesties, Excellencies, Israel should understand that its security and peace shall not be achieved with aggression, but by abiding by international law and respecting the sovereignties of Arab and Islamic countries. And the sovereignty of these countries cannot be touched under any pretext, and these principles are not open to compromise. Therefore, the entire world should understand that the policies of Israel undermine any pretense for peace and security in the region and are oblivious of any international rules and principles, and the continuation of this action shall only lead to more instability to the entire region in a way that would have grave consequences against the international peace and security. And for the people of Israel, I would like to say that what is going on now undermines the future of peace and undermines your security and the security of all peoples of the region, and would have obstacles in front of all proposals of peace and security. And at that time, the consequences will be grave, as the region will go back to the endless cycle of violence and would waste all historical gains of peace and security, and this price will be paid by all of us with no exception. Therefore, do not allow the efforts of our predecessors to go in vain, and we shall all regret that. Your Majesties and Excellencies, Egypt expresses its full condemnation of attacking the civilians and the starvation and genocide practiced by Israel against the Palestinian people in Gaza, which has led to the martyrdom of tens of thousands of civilians who are innocent over the last 2 years. And here I assert that the military action and solutions and the abortion of all mediation efforts in a way to impose status quo will never achieve security and peace for any party. And in this regard, we shall continue our solidarity with the resilience of the Palestinian people on their land and their inalienable rights according to international law, and working against any touching of these inalienable rights, whether by settlements, activities, or annexation of territory, or displacement, or any other action that aim to dislocate Palestinians from their land under any pretext that are not justified or acceptable. And we reiterate our condemnation and rejection of any proposals that involve the dislocation and displacement of Palestinians from their territory because they lack any ethical or legal foundations and will only lead to expansion of violence and conflict and will undermine peace and security in the entire region. Your Majesties and Excellencies, it's high time to address decisively the Palestinian cause as being the key to stability in the region. The just, lasting and comprehensive solution of the central issue of the Arab and Islamic worlds is based on the end of occupation and the establishment of the sovereign Palestinian governed state on the borders of 1967 with Al-Quds al-Sharqiyya at its capital. And in this regard, we look forward for the two-state solution conference, which is going to be held on 22 September, on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly, would be a juncture, an important juncture on the way to achieve a just and lasting solution to the Palestinian cause, especially through recognizing the state of Palestine. And I reiterate our call for the immediate recognition of the state of Palestine by all the countries that haven't yet done that, as being the only way to maintain the feasibility of the two-state solution. Your Majesties, Your Excellencies, we are now at a very critical point, and we need to be united in order to address all the challenges faced by our region, in order not to devolve into more conflicts and violence, and in order to avoid any imposition of any arrangement that would violate our common interests. Our message today is clear. We shall never accept any aggression against the sovereignty of our countries or the undermining of the efforts of peace. We shall stand in one rank in order to achieve the rights and regain the rights of our people, especially those of inalienable rights of the Palestinian people, in order to live in dignity, in freedom, and in peace. In conclusion, our situation should change the vision of the enemy against us. He should see that all our countries are from the ocean to the Gulf, and we are open to peace and security. And if this is changed, we need to change our resolutions and achieve this with sincerity in order for any aggressor to think twice before he aggresses against our countries. It's high time for us to achieve an Arab-Islamic mechanism for coordination and cooperation in order to stand against grave challenges in the field of security, economy, and peace. I believe that the establishment of this mechanism now is a way to establish our foundations and to take the required action in order to take the steps that would safeguard our common interests and peace and security. And Egypt, as always, extends its efforts in order to support any effort that would achieve peace and security and support the entire Arab and Islamic world. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, Your Excellency. I give the floor now to His Excellency Recep Tayyip Erdogan, the President of the Republic of Turkey. You have the floor, sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sayın Devlet ve Hükümet Başkanları, kıymetli heyet üyeleri, değerli kardeşlerim, her birinizi en kalbi duygularımla, hürmetle, muhabbetle selamlıyorum.
Your Majesties, Your Excellencies, Kings and the heads of state and the government, Dear colleagues, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks and appreciation to you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. At the outset, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks and appreciation to my brother, His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, Emir of the State of Qatar, for hosting this conference. And I would like also to invoke mercy on the martyrs who died due to the aggression of Israel against Qatar, and we wish speedy recovery for the wounded. And we wish, pray to Allah Almighty to shower His mercy on them. Since the 7th of October 2023, we have had various Arab-Islamic summits among the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and the Arab League due to the genocide crimes perpetrated by Israel in Gaza. And we have asserted once and again that the Israeli escalating aggression has become a direct threat to our region and it should be stopped immediately. And we have shown to the entire world that this divine thought fed on terrorism is an aggression and a threat to the entire international regime. It expanded its aggression after Gaza. It targeted Lebanon and Syria and Yemen, and it also attacked the civilian ships and boats at the coast of Tunisia, and it also attacked elected personnel. And here it is. It expanded its aggression against the state of Qatar, which is representing the unbridled action of Israel. And here comes the symbolism of this summit in Doha today.
I want to affirm that the public opinion must see this meeting as an expression of unlimited support and unconditional support for the state of Qatar. And I hope that the resolutions here today will be a translation of the brotherly view to be addressed to the world altogether. I am pleased to say and to commend the wisdom and courage of my brother in managing this crisis, and I reiterate our stand by the brotherly state of Qatar. This is in all situations and at all times. Brothers and sisters, it has become very clear that the government of Netanyahu is targeting the continuation of genocide against the Palestinian people. And another way, it is also plunging the region into chaos and instability. What we are seeing a terrorist mindset that lives on chaos and blood. And this is embodied in an entity that violates international law and the United Nations Charter based on rules. And this entity continues to continue its impunity. We also see recently some politicians that are Israeli politicians who repeat the myth of the so-called Greater Israel. And this shows their scheme to expand occupation of neighboring countries. But the Islamic Ummah, by God's grace, has the capability and to foil these irredentist ideas. The crimes of the Netanyahu government has become a burden even for its supporters. The attacks, the horrendous attacks against Qatar even embarrassed those who are giving support to Israel to open up. the declaration of some states to recognize the Palestinian statehood is also an important thing, even though it did not come earlier enough. These steps, however, would not achieve the desired objectives unless they are supported with strong punishment against Israel. We have to intensify our efforts, our diplomatic efforts, to increase the punishments and to bring the Israeli officials to account and justice through legal international law mechanisms. Distinguished brothers and sisters, we know that Israel would not stop its occupation policies unless it is faced with strong deterrent and stiff punishment. We have the capabilities that can allow us to stop them. Therefore, it has become important for us to have self-sufficiency in critical areas, at the top of which is the defense industries for development and deterrence. We are ready to share our experience, our capabilities with you, my dear brothers. We will have to intensify our cooperation in these areas so that we can guarantee the future of our future generations. I would also like to affirm that it is important to have economic pressure on Israel. Previous experiences has shown the efficacy of this method. We, as Turkey, we have stopped all dealings, all commercial dealings with Israel since 1.5 years. And we have saved about $9.5 billion yearly. And we believe that the case against Turkey, against Israel in the ICJ is very important. Furthermore, it is also important for us to develop mechanisms through the OIC to promote the security of the region ourselves. We will continue our struggle in this regard until the state of Palestine is established on the borders of 4th June 1967, and with East Jerusalem as its capital. It is not possible for us to accept through this mission. We cannot accept genocide. We cannot accept displacement. And I hope that this summit and the resolutions that will be adopted will contribute to additional measures to force Israel. And we hope that the outcomes of this meeting will be followed up very clearly. And I would also like to thank all the organizers of this meeting. Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency, President. I now give the floor to His Excellency, President Mahmoud Abbas, President of Palestine. You have the floor, sir. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Oh, you who believe, be patient, exercise patience, be firm, and fear Allah, so that you can be successful. The words of Allah are true. Your Highness, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, Amir of the state of Qatar, Your Majesties, Your Excellencies, Your Highnesses, your brother Ahmad Abul Ghaid, Secretary General of the League of Arab States, Excellency Brother Hussein Ibrahim Taha, Secretary General of the OIC, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We are meeting today here in Doha to stand united with our brotherly state of Qatar, both leadership and the people, announcing our full solidarity with Qatar in the face of the horrific Israeli attack, and to affirm that any attack on an Arab state is an attack on all of our Arab countries. We condemn very strongly this attack and aggression, and we demand the international community to hold Israel accountable for its crimes and its repeated aggression against our people and security. We, in this regard, call for practical measures that are deterrents to prevent the recurrence of this kind of attacks. Distinguished leaders, heads of delegation, we want to reiterate that the key to security and stability in our region lies in the stopping of the genocide and displacement and the land grabbing and wealth and the ending of Israeli occupation of Palestinian land within the borders of June 1967, with Al-Qudus Sharif as its capital. In light of the ongoing Israeli aggression against Palestine and also against Arab and Islamic countries, the most recent of which is Qatar, it is not possible for the ultra-right government in Israel cannot be a partner for peace in our region. This requires a decisive Arab and Islamic position and an intervention from the United States of America and the Security Council to stop this criminal conduct from Israel. The state of Palestine appreciates the positions of all Arab and Islamic countries that stands by our people and support them in order to stop the aggression and to provide humanitarian support and also freedom from occupation. We commend the efforts being played by Egypt and Qatar to achieve that. We also thank our brotherly and friendly countries that participate in the International Peace Conference in New York, chaired by France and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which has produced good results in order to have more recognition for Palestinian statehood and to mobilize international support to us achieving our freedom and independence. In conclusion, we want to reiterate our appreciation to the brotherly state of Qatar under the leadership of Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani for his wise stewardship of this summit. We also thank all leaders and presidents and heads of delegations participating in this summit. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
شكرا. الآن الكلمة لفخامة الرئيس إمام.
In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate, Mr. Chairman, Your Highness, the Emir of the State of Qatar, Excellencies, Heads of State and Heads of Delegations, ladies and gentlemen, the missile strike on the State of Qatar on September 9 was regrettable. This action constitutes an assault on the sovereignty and territorial integrity of our brotherly country. We strongly condemn this act of aggression once again, as it is a gross and flagrant violation of international law and the fundamental principles of the United Nations Charter, any violent actions in the region today lead to increased tensions and the emergence of new conflicts. They, in particular, create obstacles to negotiations and dialogue aimed at achieving lasting peace and stability in the region. Despite the international community widely condemning provocative actions in the region, military attacks and infringements on the sovereignty of member states have continued over the past 3 months. It is deeply regrettable that the international community has witnessed a catastrophic humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip over the past 2 years, and the aspirations of the Palestinian people remain a pressing issue on the international agenda. Distinguished audience, ladies and gentlemen, given the complex and confusing geopolitical conditions in the region and around the world, it is crucial that we further strengthen the unity of the Muslim Ummah. To this end, I would like to emphasize that achieving the OIC's highest goals is impossible without effective and mutually beneficial cooperation in trade, the economy, investment, and advanced technologies. The sustainable socio-economic development of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation's member states is a reliable guarantee of security, stability, and prosperity for the Muslim Ummah. The countries of the Islamic world have tremendous financial, industrial, natural, and labor resources. At the same time, there are ample opportunities for mutual assistance in implementing programs and projects of national and regional significance. Dear attendees, the Muslim Ummah is currently facing the tragic challenges of terrorism and extremism, as well as experiences other threats to civilization. To counter these threats and challenges, we must take a unified approach and act together. Thinkers and geniuses of the Islamic religion, including our ancestors, have made a significant contribution to human civilization, particularly to the culture of peace and harmonious coexistence. Relying on our rich shared heritage, we must broaden our society's worldview in the spirit of creativity and demonstrate a unity of Muslim Ummah to the whole world. We express hope that today's summit will contribute to strengthening unity and solidarity in the face of contemporary threats and challenges, and help to prevent any violations of internationally recognized norms and principles. I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Now I give the floor to His Excellency President Pakistan, President of the Islamic Republic of Iran. You have the floor.
In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. My dear brother, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, the Honorable Emir of the State of Qatar. No, I don't have the floor. Excellencies, heads of the states, distinguished participants, it's a great pleasure for me to participate in this meeting. The aggression of 9th September 2025 against Qatar was carried out with the aim of destroying diplomatic efforts to end the genocide in Gaza, which constitutes a serious alarm for the region and the Muslim world. This is an open and blatant warning in which says that no more the principles and rules are governing in the world. The Zionists in June 2025, with the starting an aggressive war against my country, of course, they have been emboldened to date. We should be assured that last week attacks against Doha was pure terrorism, and Tel Aviv crossed any legal restrictions. But I would like to put it very openly how to address this issue. This attack did not happen in vacuum. It was the result of the decades of the Zionist regime's impunity, which was realized by some Western countries. For a long time, the world was witnessing the creation of some strong walls around this regime, which was created by the US vetoes, the European trade agreements, and paralyzing the international norms and principles. During the last 2 years, Gaza has gone through significant tragedies, and of course, it has brought to the test the human conscience. Today, Gaza is burning in fire. More than 64,000 innocent Gazans have been martyred. Children are hungry. Famine is ongoing, and the world is only condemning. ICJ issued decrees that this Zionist regime actions are considered as genocide, but the machine of the killing still continues. And as today, these aggressions have been expanded to Qatar. Excellencies, we should identify the upcoming dangerous course. Today, in 2025, the Israeli Zionist regime has bombarded a number of Islamic countries. Any attacks by this regime is considered and called a legitimate defense. And we have the double standards, and of course the empty condemnations which are carried out by Western countries. At the same time, we need to remember an accomplice to the Zionist regime which helped the realization of these crimes, this tyrant regime, by making use of the financial diplomatic supports. So it teaches us that there are no restrictions. We have the vetoes, we have the double standards at the international system. Of course, these vetoes are paralyzing the international system, so it acts as a virus. It is spread everywhere, and these will remain forever in history. We owe two things to the world: to be honest and to take action. When it comes to frankness, we need to mention that these are not case-by-case mistakes, but these are among the doctrine of cleansing and creating fear, the strategy of the racial cleansing and tribal cleansing, which has been realized by the support of the United States and some Western countries. And when it comes to practical actions, we need to emphasize that we should not suffice to words. We need to isolate the aggressor. We should deprive them from having access to any weaponaries and bring its leaders to justice. At the same time, we need unity and integration. The Zionist regime is counting on our conflicting interests. Attacking Doha, of course, transformed a lot of misunderstandings, and it's verified that no Arab nor any Islamic countries are immune from Israel's attacks. So tomorrow, it may be one of the other Islamic countries' turn. I would like to emphasize that we have a very clear option. We need to get united. The great Prophet of Islam, at the triumph of Mecca, he said that Muslims are in fact brothers, and they are a united hand. Excellencies, The Zionist regime and its supporters should know that attacking Doha was not a sign of might, but it was out of disappointment. A regime that believes in its stability does not need to attack mediators. This regime has crossed all red lines. You have ignored all logical statements. You have crossed all lines. And at the same time, you have unconsciously, you have done something else. You have awakened the collective will of the Islamic nations. You cannot play the role of a victim. The world is witnessing, and of course, it will remember forever. The Zionist regime acted against the sovereignty of dignity, of course, our dignity, and in response, we state that we will never be threatened, we will never be disunited, we will never be silenced. And out of the ashes of Gaza, justice will be revived. Out of the bombarded buildings in Doha, in Beirut, Damascus, Sana'a, and other places, a new order will be established, not based on hypocrisy, but based on unity, based on Islamic unity, not based on Zionism, exceptionalism, but based on humanity and human equality. We need to bring the aggressors to justice. We need to start this. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. President. Let me now give the floor to His Excellency President Muhammad Kheli, Head of the Republic of Djibouti. You have the floor, sir.
Your Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al-Thani, Your Majesties, Your Excellencies, Your Highnesses, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. With a heavy heart, we stand here today to register. We are not only registering a diplomatic presence, but also registering alongside of truth in a very clear way. The aggression against Doha, this land of peace, this beating heart of Islam, is not only a target against a city, but also a target against Islam and Muslims, and a flagrant violation of international law. The strike against Doha, which has also always been a beacon of peace and a voice that says the truth, is not a passing event. Rather, it is a slap in the face of the international community and a continuation of Israeli occupation that does not recognize sovereignty or respect international law. We are saying here today very clearly, and from within Doha, that anyone who targets a peaceful Arab capital is targeting and is always starting or laying the foundation for future attacks. The Republic of Djibouti condemns very clearly this attack, and we consider it as a crime, and we call for an international fact-finding mission that will unravel the truth and to hold Israel fully accountable. We call for Arab and Islamic action that will go beyond condemnations and pass effective resolutions. The time has come for this ummah to act as a united body. Our dignity cannot be divided, and our sovereignty is not up for discussion or negotiation. We have to translate our solidarity into concrete actions that protect our countries and sends clear message that our capitals are not open for violations and attacks. Distinguished brothers, we extend our hands of peace, but we cannot accept that this should be understood, this civilized act, to be weakness, or that our patience is surrender. This summit is a watershed point for us to restore our sovereignty. We want to conclude the standing and support of the people and leadership of Djibouti stand by the state of Qatar, and we want that this occasion will create a new awareness and that will not. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, Your Excellency. Now I give the floor to His Excellency President Joseph Aoun, President of the Republic of Lebanon.
My brother, Your Highness, Amir Mohammed bin Al-Thani, leader of the state of Qatar, Your Excellencies, my brothers, majesties, princes, and heads of delegation participating in this emergency summit. Allow me to address you very briefly, for the circumstance do not bear other than that. We have not come here just to express solidarity with a sisterly country. We are here on behalf of Lebanon, all of Lebanon, to express solidarity profoundly with ourselves in the first place. Firstly, because we have learned from our past experience that aggression against a brother is an aggression against all of us. Secondly, the subject of the aggression today is the state of Qatar. It is a sisterly country. It is the heart of our hearts in its position, its role, and its mission. Thirdly, it is as well established by the science of crime, where there is a terrorist crime or aggression, the victim is not the key objective. The real objective is those who witness in silence. For the objective behind any terrorist action is not a matter of settling accounts, but to cause others to fear and dread our action. And therefore, the real objective regarding the recent aggression against Qatar is not a number of individuals, but the principle of mediation and the principle of peaceful settlements. The objective is not simply to assassinate the mediators, but simply and rather to assassinate the principle of mediation. This is why they chose to aggress the state of Qatar. This is not only a state, but the pivotal vehicle for mediation. The objective, therefore, was to put an end to such mediations. We all know that we have been witnessing similar actions on a daily basis, aggressing and raiding and killing innocent peoples in Lebanon, in Syria, and elsewhere. But the aggression against Qatar is of a more particular character. Therefore, we would like to apologize to you, to the leaders of the state of Qatar and others. we need to go beyond mere denunciations and condemnations. This has affected our morale, and we need to go beyond our past. And as the picture is now clear, the challenge before us needs a response and needs to be clear. For after we are only a few days from the General Assembly of the United Nations to be convened in New York, where the world community will be convened. Let's go there with a united stand. Does the government of Israel really want a peace in the region? If the answer is yes, then we are ready for that, in accordance with the Arab Peace Initiative that was mooted by the sisterly country of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in the Beirut Summit in 2002, which was adopted by the League of Arab States unanimously, and that has broad international support through the recognition of a number of states of the State of Palestine. This has been made cognizant and concretized through a majority recognition of the Declaration of New York as a result of the sustained efforts of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the brotherly country and friendly country of France that define specific steps and a time frame towards the two-state solution for us to sit together under the patronage of the United Nations within an action towards peace. However, if the answer is no or no response, then again we are ready. We shall take cognizance of the reality and build on it. Let's at least put an end to the multiple failures before the history. I am saying all of this with full emotion and feelings. Best wishes for our region and for humanity at large. Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. President. Now let me give the floor to His Excellency President Dr. Mohammed Muaz, President of the Republic of Maldives. You have the floor, sir.
Ar-Rahman-Ar-Rahim. Your Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, Amir Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I extend my deepest gratitude to Your Highness for convening this summit at such a critical moment. Today we gather in Doha not merely to deliberate, but to declare with one voice that we reject aggression, we will resist injustice, and we will not tolerate the trampling of international law and blatant disregard for sovereignty. The Israeli attack on Doha was not only an act of aggression, it was a direct assault on the sovereignty of the state of Qatar, and a brazen attack on the dignity of the entire Arab and Islamic world. It was an act of crime against humanity, a violation of justice, and a reckless provocation that endangers the entire region. This was no accident, it was deliberate, it was calculated. It's an attack on peace itself. Qatar, a nation that has played a central role as a mediator of peace in Gaza, tirelessly striving to bring relief to the Palestinian people, deserves tremendous recognition, not retribution. By striking Doha, Israel seeks to punish peace itself and undermines the mediation efforts and to further destabilize the wider region. This outrage is part of a broader and deeply troubling pattern of grave violations by Israel. The illegal occupation of Palestinian lands, the siege of the West Bank, the denial of humanitarian access to Palestinians, the targeting of doctors, journalists, and humanitarian workers, and now the brazen aggression against Qatar. Israel continues to reduce Gaza to rubble in the name of self-defense, while massacring innocent Palestinian civilians under the guise of security. We must ask, where does this end? And what lines will Israel refuse to cross? Israel's actions are not the conduct of a state seeking peace, but an aggressor that thrives on perpetual war and commits crimes against humanity. By normalizing brutality and weaponizing fear, Israel seeks to extinguish the hopes of an entire people. The Maldives rejects this path of destruction and stands unwavering in defense of human dignity, justice, and the right to live free from oppression and occupation. From Palestine to Yemen, from Syria to Lebanon, and now here in Doha, Israel has acted with arrogance, impunity, and contempt for the very foundations of international law. Excellencies, let us be absolutely clear. An attack on Qatar is an attack on us all. Qatar's sovereignty and security are inseparable from that of every nation represented here today. The Maldives firmly stands shoulder to shoulder with the government and people of Qatar. Your struggle is our struggle. Your dignity is our dignity, and your cause is the cause of us all. On behalf of the Maldivian people, I express our unwavering solidarity with the government and brotherly people of Qatar. Excellencies, the international community cannot claim ignorance. The Geneva Conventions, the UN Charter, countless resolutions and rulings of the International Court of Justice all affirm the illegality of occupation, collective punishment, and attacks on civilians. Yet, Israel is shielded by double standards that undermine the very foundations of international law. If these laws are to mean anything, they must apply to all and not only to a privileged few. Therefore, our response must go beyond words. Condemnation alone cannot stop bombs, nor cannot sympathy rebuild shattered lives. We must transform outrage into coordinated action, legal, diplomatic, and humanitarian. I call for Israel to be held accountable through the international legal institutions, with its leaders facing justice for war crimes and crimes against humanity. We must unite to impose political, economic, and diplomatic measures until it complies with international law. No member of our Ummah should face aggression alone. We must strengthen our defense and stand as one. The world must stand not between nations, but between law and lawlessness, justice and injustice, peace and terror. We must urgently expand humanitarian aid to Gaza and the West Bank, while reinforcing Qatar's vital mediation efforts for peace. Let this summit be remembered as a turning point when the Arab and Islamic world rose with unity, with courage, and with unwavering conviction. Let it be remembered as the day we declared to the world, enough of occupation, enough of aggression, enough of impunity. If we falter, history will condemn us. But if we rise together, no aggressor, no matter how powerful, can overcome the justice of our cause or the strength of our faith. May Allah, the Almighty, strengthen our resolve, bless our unity, and grant victory to justice, peace, and dignity across our nations. Ameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. President. Let me now give the floor to His Excellency President Mohammed Ould Sheikh Ghazawi, President of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania. You have the floor, sir.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه صاحب السمو.
Your Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Mohammed Al Thani, Your Majesties, Highnesses, and Excellencies, Your Excellency Mr. Secretary General of the League of Arab States, Your Excellency Mr. Secretary General of the OIC, Your Excellencies, Highnesses, honorable participants, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. We are today convened at a particular juncture in the history of our Ummah, where various impactful events are affecting an impact on our history, and that call for a higher level of conscience and awareness, such as to cooperate and meet up to the necessities of 2 days. The Israeli aggression against the Doha capital, the Qatar capital Doha, is not a mere accident. It is one link in a circle of aggressions that have been perpetrated consistently by the Israeli entity, aimed at undermining all efforts aimed at achieving a just peace and stability. The Islamic Republic of Mauritania fully condemns this pathetic aggression, reiterates here its full support and solidarity, and expresses that aggression against Qatar is an aggression against all the Islamic Ummah, and that causing any effect on the Qatar stability is an aggression and an escalation that is indicative of the absence of justice and the continued action of the aggressor, which represents a threat to both regional and international stability. In an effort to undermine stability through failing to observe international rules and principles, we note what the current events are pointing to. These events call for consistent and concerted efforts at the level of the region. The nature of this particular stage and milestone calls for concerted efforts that are capable of impacting the pathway ahead. And thus, the message that we need to pass on to the world community is that the policy of violations and escalation will not be faced with silence. This calls for action to protect and preserve the sovereignty of states, and as a major action for stability worldwide. In this respect, we call for all international bodies and institutions, foremost of which the Security Council, to take action and shoulder their responsibility to ensure respect for international law. Also, any comparison or equation should in no way be oblivious of the importance of the cause of Palestine as a foremost basis for international peace and security. In conclusion, the Islamic Republic of Mauritania reiterates its support for justice and for deterrence against aggressive action. Wassalamu alaikum. Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. President. We do apologize. Actually, I erroneously mentioned the name of Ghazawi. I do apologize for this error, and you will know the reasons behind this error. Let me now give the floor to His Excellency President Dr. Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud, President of Somalia. You have the floor. My apologies, actually, in the name of God, most gracious and merciful, peace and blessing be upon our noble Prophet, Your Highness.
bin Hamad Al Thani, Amir, State of Qatar, Your Excellencies, the Federal Republic of Somalia expresses its deep shock and strongest condemnation of the Israeli airstrikes carried out on September 9th against a peaceful residential area in Doha, the capital of the brotherly state of Qatar. This act is a blatant violation of international law. It's also a Qatari sovereignty and the territorial integrity. Moreover, is a grave threat to the regional security, peace, and stability. Your Highness, the Somali government and people extended their deepest condolences to you and through you to the people and to you through the government and the people of Qatar, and for the tragic loss of the innocent lives of the brotherly people. We pray for the swift recovery of those injured and reaffirm Somalia's unwavering solidarity with our Qatari brothers and sisters during this defining moment in their history. All and any unlawful aggression not only disregards human life, but also contravenes the fundamental principles of international law, particularly the United Nations Charter, which prohibits the use of force against the territorial integrity, political independence of sovereign states. Somalia stands firmly with Qatar in its right to defend its sovereignty and security. We call upon all international community, most urgently the United Nations Security Council, to fulfill its mandate in upholding international peace and security. Silence or inaction in the face of such aggression would set a dangerous precedent and erode the already weakening rule-based international order. Your Excellencies, this reckless escalation comes at a time when the world urgently needs diplomacy, restraint, and renewed commitment to dialogue and political settlements. The indispensable role of Qatar as a mediator in advancing global peace efforts in general, and in particular the current fiasco in Gaza, must be recognized and supported, not undermined through the acts of hostility. Today, the reality in Gaza is a global shame which no one ever be proud of. Israel must remember its own history that teaches clearly that no nation can eternally be wiped from the face of the globe. Hence, Palestine will definitely prevail. The Federal Republic of Somalia reiterates its support for an immediate and unconditional ceasefire in Gaza, release all detainees and detained hostages, and unhindered delivery of humanitarian aid to those suffering under the devastating conditions that exist in Gaza. We stress again that durable peace in the Middle East requires addressing the root causes of instability in full conformity with the international law and justice. In conclusion, Somalia will continue to stand in solidarity with Qatar's path to pursue global peace, especially that of Gaza. It is the only way that alleviates the suffering of the innocent people. Somalia will remain also to stand shoulder to shoulder with all those who seek peace, justice, and stability across the world. I thank you all.
شكرا فخامة الرئيس. أعطي الكلمة الآن
Let me now give the floor to His Excellency President Othman Ghazali, head of the Republic of the Comoros, the Federation of the Comoro Islands.
شكرا جزيلا.
Thank you heartily, Mr. Chairman. Your Highness Sheikh Tamim Ibn Hamad Al Thani, Emir of the sisterly country of Qatar, Your Excellencies, Your Majesties and Highnesses, Your Excellencies, Your Excellency Mr. Secretary General of the OIC, Organization of Islamic Cooperation, Your Excellency Mr. Secretary General of the League of Arab States, Honorable ladies and gentlemen, honorable participants, Assalamu alaikum.
ورحمة الله وبركاته. في البداية
Allow me at the outset to express my deep gratitude and appreciation to His Highness Sheikh Tamim Ibn Hamad Al Thani, Emir of the State of Qatar, for his kind and welcome and hospitality and patronage. We wish to express gratitude to the State of Qatar for its hospitality, which reflects the brotherly ties between us. I'm also appreciative of the efforts put in by the League of Arab States and the OIC with regard to the causes of the Ummah. Honorable sisters and brothers, we're convened today in the face of a major event where the Doha city has been the subject of an aggression which has led to the martyrdom of innocent people. And we in the Comoros fully condemn this action, which represents a pathetic violation of the sovereignty of the State of Qatar and of the international law and the Charter of the United Nations. This aggression does not actually target Qatar alone, but the League of Arab States and the member states of the OIC. Any aggression against Qatar is an aggression against all of us. Your Excellencies, the sovereignty of our states is a red line that is non-negotiable, and my country is putting forward every possible efforts in support of Qatar in terms of mediation in favor of Palestine. And therefore, we fully support the efforts of Qatar and consider these efforts as a basic condition for the achievement of peace. We here reiterate our full and firm stand in support of the rights of Palestinians and the right to the establishment of their independent state with Eastern Al-Quds as their capital, and in support of the two-state solution. And we reject the displacement and the crimes perpetrated against the Palestinian people. And we call on the international community to intervene urgently to put an end to this crime. We therefore support the efforts of Qatar and the Arab Republic of Egypt to put an end to the crimes perpetrated against Palestine. We call on the international community, with the support expressed by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and France, to act in support of the two-state solution in favor of Palestine, which will form a major step towards stability. We also declare our firm support and our stand shoulder to shoulder with the state of Qatar, and our firm determination to work in favor of a just and equitable peace in Palestine for the benefit of a stable future in our region and worldwide. Wassalam. Thank you. Let me now give the floor to His Excellency Ahmed Shara, President of the Republic of Syria. Grace be to God Almighty, and peace and blessings be upon our noble Prophet. Your Excellency, the Emir of Qatar, Your Excellency and Highnesses, Assalamu alaikum. Let me try and be brief to spare time. It is a rare historical event where a mediator is assassinated, and the Israeli parties continued its aggressions. Your Excellencies, a community, whenever they are united, will be stronger. A poet says, when you are united, then aggressors will keep away from you. The Arab Republic of Syria, with its people, stand side by side with Qatar. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Your Excellency. Let me now give the floor to His Excellency Sheikh Sabah al-Sabah, Emir of the city of Kuwait. Brother of mine, Your Excellency, Your Highness, Qatar, head of the extraordinary session of the Arab-Islamic Summit, Your Excellencies, Your Majesties and Excellencies, leaders of the Arab and Islamic states. Honorable participants, Assalamu alaikum. Allow me first of all to convey to you all the greetings of His Highness Emir of the State of Kuwait, Ahmed al-Jaber al-Subah. May Allah preserve him, and his wishes of full success to this extraordinary Arab-Islamic session. We wish to extend due thanks and appreciation to His Highness Emir Mohammed Al Thani, Emir of Qatar, for the warm welcome and hospitality, and for the invitation to this summit being held in the Qatari capital, Doha, under extraordinary and exceptional circumstances. I wish to address to you, brothers of mine and excellencies, leaders of our Islamic and Arab states, our heartfelt thanks and appreciation, and to His Excellency Ahmed Abul Ghayth, Secretary General of the League of Arab States, and Mr. Hussein Ibrahim Taha, Secretary General of the OIC, for the excellent arrangements and preparations. Brothers of mine, Highnesses and Excellencies, our summit today comes here to reiterate our condemnation of the treacherous aggression by Israel against the state of Qatar and its sovereignty, and to reiterate that the security of the state of Qatar is a pillar for the stability and peace in our region. In this regard, I would like to express our due condolences to the state of Qatar against these aggressions, including the martyred Beir Dam al-Dusri. Your Excellencies, the persistent aggressions perpetrated by Israel falls in line with the continued aggressions against which we warned for so long as an undermining action for stability in the region, and a clear disregard for the principles of international community and conventions. And we wish to condemn with strong words the aggressions, and we reiterate our call to the international community to act and not to be oblivious of this aggression, and to take appropriate and effective action to deter any such actions. Your Excellencies, Highnesses, Majesties, we've followed from the beginning the aggression of Israel against Gaza for the past 2 years. We've followed the distinct efforts put in by the state of Qatar to spare the blood of the Palestinians and to put an end to the genocide and the starvation, and to act for the achievement of a ceasefire amongst all parties. The blatant aggression of Israel against Qatar is proof to the real objectives of Israel to prevent stability and security in the region. We wish here to pay particular thanks for the state of Qatar in support of the rights of the Palestinians that are based on the Arab initiatives and the international community's decisions in order to achieve the two-state solution on the basis of 1967 front borders, such as to achieve peace and security. In conclusion, I wish to reiterate our full support to any measures taken by the state of Qatar to preserve its stability and sovereignty and the security of its citizens and residents. We wish to call also for the concerted efforts at the regional level and the national level to deter such aggressions that undermine peace and security in the region.
Thank you. Your Highness. Now I give the floor to His Excellency Dr. Rashad Mohammed Al-Alaimi, the Chair of the Council of Leadership in Yemen. You have the floor, sir. In the name of Allah, the Lord of Mercy, the Giver of Mercy, my brother, His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al-Thani, Emir of the State of Qatar, Your Majesties and Excellencies, Kings and the Heads of State and Government, our Arab-Islamic Ummah is standing today at a critical juncture after the attack by the Israeli forces that has crossed all red lines and violated all international norms. This aggression, which is wanton in nature, asserts to all that Arab-Islamic security and peace is integral, and the success of the peace initiatives is conditioned on the balance of power, and the visions of regional hegemony cannot be stopped without collective action. Your Majesties and Excellencies, the continuation of genocide in Gaza without any liability, and the continuation of aggressions against the region's countries with impunity have led to the attack by Israel on Doha, Qatar. In my country, this aggressor continues to obliterate the capabilities of the Yemeni people and attacking civilian infrastructure. In return of the attacks by the terrorist Houthi militias, which led to the militarization of the Red Sea and converting Yemen to a war zone by proxy. What we are facing today of challenges asserted that expansionist countries and militias are faces of one coin. They provide pretexts for the expansion of each other, and they both undermine national countries. Therefore, we are required today to adopt a more comprehensive approach for Arab-Islamic action based on 3 pillars. 1. Lasting and just solution of the Palestinian cause based on international resolutions and the Arab Peace Initiative. 2. Supporting the national authorities of our countries and working together to fight against the armed terrorist organizations. 3. Deterring those rogue countries with expansion policies, especially Israel, and complementing in Arab and Islamic cooperation. Your Majesties and Excellencies, despite the threats faced by the Palestinian cause, Arab-Islamic diplomacy led by Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has achieved a major achievement through the recognition of the Palestinian state, and we reiterate our welcome of the historical resolution by the General Assembly of the UN supporting the two-state solution and the efforts exerted by Saudi Arabia and France, and we look forward to translating this into tangible and feasible actions in the future. In conclusion, we reiterate our solidarity with our brothers in Qatar, leadership and people, and we wish all the success for this exceptional and emergency summit hosted by the State of Qatar for more unanimity and unity of our countries in the face of all challenges. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you. I give the floor now to His Excellency Mohammed Yusuf Menfi, the Chair of the Presidential Council of Libya. Your Excellency, Your Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al-Thani, Emir of the State of Qatar, Your Majesties, Excellencies, Kings and Heads of State and Government, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. At the outset of my statement, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks and appreciation to the State of Qatar and His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad for his invitations. We are here today at a very historical juncture following the aggression by Israel against the sovereignty of Qatar last Tuesday, which is integral to the genocide campaign in Gaza and the escalation against Lebanon, Syria, and Iran, which exposes the negligence of international norms and laws by Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, this aggression against Qatar is an aggression against the entire Arab-Islamic Ummah, and in Libya, leadership and people reject this heinous crime in all means, and we assert our full solidarity with the brotherly state of Qatar, and we consider any aggression against an Arab-Islamic country is against all of us. This blatant, wanton aggression is an extension of the racial policies of the occupation condemned by our previous summit in Riyadh in November 2024 and asserted by the International Criminal Court and was supported by all peoples of the world. This responsibility gives us the opportunity to have a unified position in the UN Security Council and in the UN in order to hold them accountable for the crimes against the Palestinian people and the starvation and attacking the houses of worship, and to galvanize support to stop these violations in order to implement the resolutions of the summit in Riyadh and Doha through feasible actions by taking a unified position in UN Security Council against the occupying power for its attack on Qatar and Gaza, and to support full-fledged recognition of the state of Palestine and imposing sanctions on this Zionist entity in order to put an end to its impunity, as well as supporting Egyptian-Qatari mediation in order to put an end to the suffering of our people in the Gaza and the rejection of any attempt to undermine this mediation and support the Saudi efforts that have succeeded by issuing the New York Declaration, which is an important step toward the recognition of the sovereign Palestinian state. And we also call for the support of the media and diplomatic discourse in order to debunk the policies of the gangs of occupation. There is no way to achieve peace without the establishment of the state of Palestine or the Al-Quds Sharif as its capital, and addressing all challenges faced by its Islamic and Christian sanctities. And we value the voices of all peoples of the world that condemn all these crimes and genocide war. And we also support the country that impose sanctions on the occupying power. We are here at a challenge to be united. We cannot leave Qatar or any country to face this challenge by itself. We have common interests, we have common future, and we have integral interests. We also call for international protection for the Palestinian people while asserting all restrictions against the aggressor and continuing the steps taken by South Africa and the following steps, which we were in Libya the first supporters in front of the International Court of Justice, as well as International Criminal Court, as well as international platforms. Your Highness, Sheikh Tamim, we reiterate our thanks to Your Highness and to the State of Qatar for hosting this summit and for your efforts in supporting Arab-Islamic solidarity, and we request you to continue your efforts in mediation in order to end aggression against Gaza and put an end to the problem of hostages and prisoners based on unlimited support of our peoples. We pray to Allah Almighty to make this summit a turning point to achieve justice and to protect our countries against all the challenges. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, Your Excellency. I give the floor now to His Excellency Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, the chair of the Transitional Presidential Council in Sudan. Your Excellency, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Lord of Mercy, the Giver of Mercy, peace and blessings upon His Prophet, Your Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al-Thani, Emir of the State of Qatar, Your Majesty's Excellencies, dear audience, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We meet today following the Israeli attack against the Qatari capital, Doha, in blatant in violation of the sovereignty of an Arab country and the international law and UN Charter. This aggression does not affect Qatar only, but it conveys a very worrisome message to the entire world, and it undermines the sincere efforts aimed at reaching a settlement that would put an end to the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. And it undermines any endeavors for settlement and pacification. It's also an extension of the negligence of international law and an assertion of a status quo based on the language of the force. The Republic of Sudan condemned this action and asserts its full support and solidarity with the State of Qatar, leadership and people, and expresses its standing and backing against this conspiracy. Sudan reiterates its assertion that the only way to achieve just and lasting peace in the Middle East is the establishment of a sovereign state of Palestine, and any attempt to override this fact that would mean the endless violence and the undermining of international peace and security. We assert our support to the resolution of this summit, and we call for serious and established cooperation among the Arab and Islamic countries to put an end to the dual double standards policy resulting from a clear deficit in the UN system. And we believe that our unity and our solidarity and common will are the only and optimal way to affect the course of action and to regain our dignity and the dignity of the international law, and to build a more just future for all our peoples. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, Your Excellency. I give the floor now to His Excellency Anwar Ibrahim, the Prime Minister of Malaysia. You have the floor, sir.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I might take this opportunity to extend my appreciation to His Highness Sheikh Tamim Hamad Al-Thani, the Emir of the State of Qatar. Excellency, Majesties, Excellencies, Malaysia condemns in the most unequivocal terms the Israeli airstrikes on this very city of Doha. To rain bombs on the capital of a sovereign state is lawlessness, barbaric and indefensible. It was an assault on Qatar's sovereignty, a violation of international law, and a reckless provocation that endangers the security in the region. The gravity of this outrage is deepened by Qatar's vital role as a mediator. This nation has labored with perseverance and wisdom to foster dialogue, which include Hamas, Egypt, and the United States of America. This attack certainly is a calculated assault where no nation is to be spared in pursuit of the Israeli Zionist aggression. Meanwhile, Gaza continued to be crushed before our very eyes. Its people have endured decimation and devastation without precedent. Families wiped out, hospitals reduced to ruins, children buried under rubble. In the West Bank, the colonial politics of dispossession continues unabated. This barbarity has expanded to attacks and bombardments on Lebanon and Syria, Yemen, with attacks on Iran as well. This pattern of lawlessness shows utter contempt for the very foundations of civilization and international order. Israel has declared that there will never be a Palestinian state. Let us be clear. This is a declaration of permanent apartheid. It is a repudiation of every United Nations resolution and the right of self-determination. Our people has become wary of words. They have watched us issue condemnation after condemnation, declaration after declaration, while Israel escalates with impunity. As future generations will ask whether we found the courage to act, we do not ask nations to go beyond their basic obligations. Excellencies, and today, even as we meet, a flotilla sails once more towards Gaza, bearing not the implements of war, but the promise of aid for a besieged people. It is a mission of mercy, and we must do all in our power to see that it reaches its shore. To let it be turned back with violence is to betray the charge that our conscience have placed upon us to defend the weak, to shelter the oppressed, to give food to the hungry. Condemnations will not stop the missiles. Declarations will not free Palestine. Severe punitive actions must be put in place. Diplomatic engagements must cease, and so must trade relations with Israel. May Allah grant us the courage to act and the strength to endure. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Now I give the floor to His Excellency Shahbaz Sharif, the Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. You have the floor, sir.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Your Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, Amir of the State of Qatar, Your Majesties, Heads of States, Highnesses, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. We gather today on a very somber and sorrowful occasion when the brotherly Islamic State of Qatar was treacherously targeted by an aggressor who violates international law without fear of any consequence. Pakistan strongly condemns Israel's reckless and provocative attack on Doha on September 9 that was clearly aimed at sabotaging peace efforts in the Middle East. This was a flagrant violation of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the State of Qatar. We express our all-out support and solidarity with our Qatari brothers and sisters. Your Highnesses and Excellencies, Israel's assault against Qatar is not an isolated incident. It is yet another manifestation of its declared hegemonic ambitions. My dear brothers and sisters, even in wartime, the role of peace mediators is always deemed inviolable and held sacrosanct. They are the messengers of fragile hope, hope of keeping dialogue alive to advance prospects of peace. One is therefore compelled to question, why then this charade of negotiations? Was the return of hostages a priority for a country that has no respect or regard for human life? Excellencies, we deeply appreciate Qatar's sincere and tireless diplomatic efforts, guided by the able leadership of my dear brother, the Amir, His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, Qatar has consistently endeavored to bridge divides and promote the noble cause of regional as well as global peace under the most daunting challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, while Gaza bleeds, the heart-wrenching cries of its innocent women and children echo through these halls. We can hear the frail voice of the 10-year-old boy Amir, who walked 12 kilometers barefooted for a few morsels of bread, only to be gunned down by Israeli soldiers along with 64,000 of his fellow countrymen. Israel's genocidal campaign has reduced Gaza to rubble and ruin. The world shall always bear the scars of this unending carnage etched on the very soul of humanity. Injustice has reached an unbearable level. This must stop, and stop now. Excellencies, Pakistan reiterates the following urgent and essential steps. Israel must be held accountable for its war crimes against humanity. Creation of an Arab-Islamic task force to adopt effective measures to ward off Israeli expansionist designs. We reiterate the OIC's call to suspend Israel's membership of the United Nations. Fourth, member states should actively consider implementing other appropriate measures against Israel. The UN Security Council must urgently demand from Israel under Chapter 7 of the UN Charter an immediate, unconditional and permanent ceasefire, release of hostages and exchange of Palestinian prisoners. Sixth, guaranteed, sustained and secure humanitarian access to all civilians in need and the protection of aid workers, medical teams, journalists and UN personnel. Above all, Excellencies, we must achieve a just, comprehensive and lasting two-state solution with creation of an independent state of Palestine with pre-1967 borders and Al-Quds Al-Sharif as its capital. Majesties, Highnesses, Excellencies, today in this historic gathering, we have affirmed solidarity in our intentions, in our thoughts, and in our words. In unison, we have all condemned Israel's aggression. Let history record this great moment when we, the leaders of the Arab-Islamic world, have chosen unity, dignity, and courage over silence and inaction. Otherwise, my brothers and sisters, may I submit in all humility, posterity will never forgive us. وختاما أيها الإخوة والأخوات أود أن أختتم
Sisters, to conclude my statement by the ayah, hold together to the line of Allah and don't be divided. Allah is truthful. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, Your Excellency. Now I give the floor to Mr. Yerlan Koshanov, the Chairman of the Majlis of the Parliament of the Republic of Kazakhstan. Your Majesties, Highnesses, Excellencies, distinguished guests participating in the summit. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, I'm honored to convey the warm greetings and best wishes of the President of the Republic of Kazakhstan, Kasim Jomart Tokayev, to His Highness the Emir of the State of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, and all the participants of the summit. We express our sincere gratitude to the government of Qatar for hosting the summit at such a high level and for the generous hospitality extended to us at a time when our unity and the principles of international law are being put to the test. Regrettably, today's extraordinary meeting has been convened due to the grave deterioration of the international situation. At present, the Middle East region is facing serious geopolitical challenges. The Republic of Kazakhstan strongly condemned the military actions undertaken by Israel against the state of Qatar. The president of Kazakhstan, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, was the first to state this position, expressing Kazakhstan's firm support for Qatar. Whatever the stated purpose of such attacks, such actions must never be allowed. They violate the sovereign rights of the state of Qatar and run counter to the principles of international law. They pose a threat not only to the security of the state, but also to the equality and sovereignty of all states guided by international law. Qatar is our brotherly nation and one of our key partners in the Middle East and the Arab world as a whole. Today, Doha, thanks to its consistent policy of mediation, makes a significant contribution to global stability and security. It plays an important role in strengthening trust, dialogue, and peace in the international arena. The constructive initiatives and tireless efforts of the State of Qatar are highly valued and widely recognized by the international community. The position of the Republic of Kazakhstan on the settlement of international conflicts and disputes is crystal clear. All states must be resolved through peaceful dialogue in strict accordance with the Charter of the United Nations and international law. We call for the comprehensive application of these principles in resolving conflicts and ensuring their inviolability. Restoring to military force will only provoke new waves of violence and lead to further suffering of innocent civilians. In this context, we cannot ignore the tragic events unfolding in the Gaza Strip, where the civilian population continues to bear the burden of the conflict. From the very outset, Kazakhstan has consistently called for an immediate cessation of hostilities in Gaza and the urgent delivery of humanitarian assistance to its people. In this regard, Kazakhstan has provided both financial and material support to Gaza, including contributions made in January of this year through the Islamic Organization for Food Security, headquartered in Astana. We therefore call on all of you to make full use of this organization's potential in scaling up humanitarian aid for the Palestinian people. Kazakhstan reaffirms its principled support for the Palestinian cause based on the two states for two peoples formula endorsed by the UN Security Council. In this context, I wish to highlight our support for the mediation efforts of His Highness the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim, aimed at achieving the earliest possible stabilization of the situation in Palestine, as well as for the initiatives directed at promoting the welfare of the Qatari people. Distinguished participants of the summit, Kazakhstan highly value the unity and solidarity of the Islamic world. We call upon all of us to remain united in the pursuit of justice, peace, and sustainable development, guided by our shared religious, cultural, and historical values, as well as by the bonds of brotherhood and strong friendship. Thank you for your attention. Thank you. Thank you. For Mr. Rian Koshanov, I give the floor now to His Highness Mr. Shihab bin Taimur Al Said, the Deputy Prime Minister for Defense Affairs of the Sultanate of Oman.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, peace, praise be to Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be on the Prophet and all of his companions. Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, Chairman of the Summit, Your Majesties, Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, members of delegation, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I have the honor to convey to you the greetings of the Sultan of Oman, may Allah preserve him, and his deep appreciation for the efforts of the brotherly state of Qatar for hosting this extraordinary summit at a very critical juncture in the history of the world. Your Majesties, Your Excellencies, Your Highnesses, distinguished delegates, the treacherous attack on Qatar reveals very clearly the danger of the time we are in and of the treachery of Israel in our region without adherence to international law and without any respect for the blood of people, and also attacking Qatar, one of the countries that is striving to entrench peace in Palestine. It is actually turning us further from the peace that we want, which is comprehensive, that achieves the dream of the Palestinian people. The Sultanate of Oman condemns in very strong terms these treacherous attack, and we affirm our solidarity with the people and leadership of the state of Qatar. And we affirm here that the security of Qatar is the security of the Gulf countries and the Arab and Islamic countries. What we face today is not to be condemned, but it requires practical, concrete measures, particularly at the legal and diplomatic levels. And we have to move at the United Nations and the Security Council and the General Assembly, and to deploy all mechanisms of international law to hold accountable Israel for its crimes and its violations. We have to work together to stop this dangerous path that threatens international peace. The Sultanate of Oman believes that the keeping quiet of the international community before this action leads to impunity. Therefore, we call for this meeting to be a beginning for serious action and united action to translate the will of the Arab and Islamic worlds to clear positions in order to end the occupation and to stop the aggression and to reinstate international legitimate resolutions. Your Majesties, Your Excellency, Your Highnesses, today's meeting is an affirmation that our Arab and Islamic worlds are capable to address challenges if and when they unite. And we are confident that the unity is the best way to preserve and safeguard our countries. May Allah protect us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, Your Highness. Now I give the floor to Mr. Rashid, Foreign Minister of the Republic of Turkmenistan.
Your Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, Amir of the State of Qatar, Your Excellencies, Heads of States and Governments, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to convey best regards of the President of Turkmenistan, Mr. Serdar Berdimuhamedov, and the national leader of the Turkmen people, Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov, to all of the participants of today's meeting. Turkmenistan has received with deep concern and worry the information of the armed attack carried out by Israel on 9th of September against the capital of Qatar, the city of Doha. We condemn such actions and consider them as a breach of the sovereignty of the state of Qatar and a gross violation of international law. Turkmenistan expresses its sincere condolences to the families of those who lost their lives. The use of force as a means of resolving any international issues is absolutely unacceptable and runs counter to the norms and principles of the United Nations Charter. In this regard, this tragic event goes far beyond the boundaries of a single region. It has struck at the very idea of the peaceful coexistence of states and peoples, which lies at the foundation of the entire modern system of international relations. We are convinced that any actions capable of threatening international peace and security must receive a principled assessment from the world community. Acts of the use of force against sovereign states not only reduce the level of international security, but also undermine the very foundation of mutual trust between countries. The history of humanity has clearly shown that trust is built over decades, but can be destroyed in a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have gathered here to reaffirm our commitment to the fundamental principles on which the present and future architecture of peace must be built. In this context, we are convinced that joint efforts to implement the following actions will serve these purposes. First, respect for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of all states. Second, rejection of the policy of force and the exclusive use of political and diplomatic means and methods to resolve any disputes and conflicts. Third, preservation and strengthening of trust as a strategic resource of global security. Fourth, placing the issue of preventing acts of aggression in the future under special international control, including through expanded separate consideration in the United Nations Security Council with the participation of all interested parties. Fifth, strengthening preventive security measures. In the current situation, the unity of the Islamic world acquires special significance. We highly appreciate the efforts of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and believe that it is our organization that can serve as a unifying platform for developing a common, responsible and peace-promoting approach of Islamic countries to crises and conflicts. Turkmenistan calls on all to refrain from endangering the global security system, which has been built through the efforts of all humankind and remains our common heritage and shared responsibility. In conclusion, I would like to express our gratitude to His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani for initiative of the current summit and favorable conditions for our joint work. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Now I give the floor to Mr. Jehbab, the Foreign Minister of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Mr. Jihan Muramov.
Chair, distinguished Secretary General, Excellencies. At the outset, let me extend our gratitude to the General Secretariat of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation for organizing this emergency summit at the request of the State of Qatar. The recent airstrike on the State of Qatar is deeply concerning. We express our support for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Qatar and call for strict adherence to the UN Charter and international law to avoid further aggravation of regional situation. Since the eruption of the ongoing crisis, Qatar has been making pivotal mediation efforts to find a negotiated solution. We highly appreciate and commend Qatar's effort to facilitate negotiations between the parties, including through providing its soil for direct negotiations. In this context, we are concerned that the latest developments risk disruption of the negotiation process at the expense of prolonging the crisis in Gaza. This has already led to serious humanitarian tragedies, and further delay in ending this crisis through dialogue and negotiations must be avoided. It is imperative to preempt any measures that could further deteriorate the fragile security environment in the Middle East or undermine the remaining prospects for a lasting resolution. Instead, all involved stakeholders should endeavor to find common ground on the path to a permanent ceasefire in Gaza to end the plight of its residents. good faith dialogue and de-escalation need to be prioritized. Excellencies, the severe humanitarian disaster in Gaza and across Palestine demands immediate response. Alongside peace-building efforts, consistent and secure humanitarian access is essential to alleviating the suffering of the Palestinian people in Gaza and addressing the deepening humanitarian crisis. As a committed member of the OSCE and its designated chair for the year 2026, Azerbaijan remains firm in its solidarity with the people of Palestine. While reiterating the urgent need for permanent ceasefire, Azerbaijan consistently advocates for the settlement of the conflict on the basis of the two-state principle, recognizing Al-Quds al-Sharif as the capital of Palestine in line with international law and relevant UN and OSCE resolutions. This also includes the recognition of the Gaza Strip as an integral part of the state of Palestine and unconditional respect for the fundamental right of Palestinians, including Gaza residents, to life in safety and dignity in their homeland. Any formula envisaging violation of this fundamental human right of residents of Gaza is not acceptable. Since the latest escalation began in 2023, Azerbaijan redoubled its humanitarian assistance efforts and has contributed more than $2 million to UNRWA to help address the pressing humanitarian needs of Palestinians, while also backing reconstruction efforts under the assistance plan initiated by Egypt. Beyond financial aid, Azerbaijan continues to support the Palestinian people in educational healthcare. In this context, Azerbaijan provided scholarships to Palestinian students and continues its effort, notwithstanding the impediments stemming from ongoing situation in Gaza. Furthermore, Azerbaijan pledged to build a school in Nablus for 600 students. Azerbaijan remains committed to contributing to efforts that promote a just and lasting resolution of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. I thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. Now I give the floor to Mr. Mohammad Tawhid Hussein, Foreign Minister of the Republic of Bangladesh. You have the floor.
Your Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, Honorable Amir of Qatar, Majesties, Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by expressing on behalf of the people and the government of Bangladesh our deepest solidarity with the brotherly state of Qatar and its resilient people. We condemn in the strongest possible terms the unprovoked and unjustifiable Israeli attack on the sovereign territory of Qatar. This attack is not merely an assault on Qatar. It's an affront to the dignity of the entire Muslim Ummah, a brazen violation of international law, and a dangerous threat to regional and global peace and security. Bangladesh views this aggression as part of a disturbing pattern of reckless adventurism by Israel, which continues to disregard the UN Charter, international humanitarian law, and repeated resolutions of the United Nations. The attack on Qatar is not an isolated incident. It's a continuation of the complete disregard of Israel of international law, of decades of occupation, illegal settlement expansion, targeted assassinations, and indiscriminate bombings that have claimed the lives of countless innocent civilians in Palestine and elsewhere. Today, the Islamic world must send a clear, united, and unambiguous message. Enough is enough. Aggression against one of us is aggression against all of us. We must collectively hold Israel accountable for the naked act of aggression and demand an immediate cessation of such illegal activities. Bangladesh calls for a coordinated diplomatic, political, and if necessary, economic measures by all OIC member states to deter further Israeli provocations. This is a moment of truth for the Muslim Ummah. If we remain divided, we embolden those who seek to undermine our sovereignty and trample upon the rights of our peoples. If we stand united, we can compel the aggressor to respect international norms and ensure justice for the victims. Bangladesh also underscores the urgency of addressing the root cause of this crisis, the unresolved question of Palestine. We reaffirm our steadfast support for the establishment of an independent, viable, and sovereign state of Palestine with East Jerusalem as its capital based on the pre-1967 borders. Excellencies, this summit must not end with words alone. Our people expect us to act in defense of justice, peace, and the dignity of the Ummah. Bangladesh has always stood on the side of justice, and we will always raise our voice against oppression wherever it occurs. We stand resolute with Qatar and with all those resisting aggression and occupation. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Thank you, Excellency. Now I give the floor to Mr. Ahmed Attaf, the Foreign Minister of the Republic of Algeria. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Your Excellency, Your Highness, Chair of the Arab-Islamic Summit, I am honored to read the text sent by President Abdelmajid Tebboune, your brother, to this distinguished summit. First of all, I read as follows. It is no longer a matter of extremism that our security cannot be separated. The attack on Qatar by Israel is an attack on the Arab and Islamic nation. It is an attack on its rights and security, and it's an attack on all ideals that humanity believes in. In the face of this horrific attack, Algeria stands shoulder to shoulder with the state of Qatar, the leadership and the people, and the dear people in this very dear country. We promise our support to take all what is necessary in terms of steps to safeguard